Hadīth 1. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Allah created Adam, making him 60 cubits tall. When he created him, he said to him, Go and greet that group of angels, and listen to their reply, for it will be your greeting, salutation, and the greeting, salutations, of your offspring. So, Adam said, to the angels, Assalamu alaikum, that is, peace be upon you. The angels said, Assalamu alayka wa rahimahullāh, that is, peace and Allah's mercy be upon you. Thus the angels added to Adam's salutation the expression, wa rahimahullāh. Any person who will enter paradise will resemble Adam, in appearance and figure. People have been decreasing in stature since Adam's creation. Hadīth 2. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The first group of people who will enter paradise will be glittering like the full moon, and those who will follow them will glitter like the most brilliant star in the sky. They will not urinate, relieve nature, spit, or have any nasal secretions. Their combs will be of gold, and their sweat will smell like musk. The aloes wood will be used in their centers. Their wives will be houris. All of them will look alike and will resemble their father Adam, in stature, 60 cubits tall. Hadīth 3. Narrated Zainab bint Abi Salama, Salama said, Sulaim said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Allah does not refrain from saying the truth. Is it obligatory for a woman to take a bath after she gets nocturnal discharge? He said, yes, if she notices the water, that is, discharge. Salama smiled and said, Does a woman get discharge? Allah's Apostle said, Then why does a child resemble its mother? Hadīth 4. Narrated Anas, when Abdullāh bin Salam heard the arrival of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at Medina, he came to him and said, I am going to ask you about 3 things which nobody knows except a prophet. What is the first portent of the hour? What will be the first meal taken by the people of paradise? Why does a child resemble its father, and why does it resemble its maternal uncle? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Gabriel has just now told me of their answers. Abdullāh said, He, that is, Gabriel, from amongst all the angels, is the enemy of the Jews. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The first portent of the hour will be a fire that will bring together the people from the east to the west. The first meal of the people of paradise will be extra lobe, caudate lobe, of fish liver. As for the resemblance of the child to its parents, if a man has sexual intercourse with his wife and gets discharge first, the child will resemble the father, and if the woman gets discharge first, the child will resemble her. On that, Abdullāh bin Salam said, I testify that you are the messenger of Allah. Abdullāh bin Salam further said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The Jews are liars, and if they should come to know about my conversion to Islam before you ask them about me, they would tell a lie about me. The Jews came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and Abdullāh went inside the house. Allah's Apostle asked the Jews, What kind of man is Abdullāh bin Salam amongst you? They replied, He is the most learned person amongst us, and the best amongst us, and the son of the best amongst us. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, What do you think if he embraces Islam, will you do as he does? The Jews said, May Allah save him from it. Then Abdullāh bin Salam came out in front of them saying, I testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah and that Muhammad is the apostle of Allah. Thereupon they said, He is the evilest among us, and the son of the evilest amongst us, and continued talking badly of him. Hadīth 5. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, But for the Israelis, meat would not decay, and but for Eve, wives would never betray their husbands. Hadīth 6. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, Treat women nicely, for a woman is created from a rib, and the most curved portion of the rib is its upper portion, so, if you should try to straighten it, it will break, but if you leave it as it is, it will remain crooked. So treat women nicely. Hadith 7. Narrated Abdullāh, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, the true and truly inspired said, as regards your creation, every one of you is collected in the womb of his mother for the first 40 days, and then he becomes a clot for another 40 days, and then a piece of flesh for another 40 days. Then Allah sends an angel to write 4 items. He writes his deeds, time of his death, means of his livelihood, and whether he will be wretched or blessed, in religion. Then the soul is breathed into his body. So a man may do deeds characteristic of the people of the hell, fire, so much so that there is only the distance of a cubit between him and it, and then what has been written, by the angel, surpasses, and so he starts doing deeds characteristic of the people of paradise and enters paradise. Similarly, a person may do deeds characteristic of the people of paradise, so much so that there is only the distance of a cubit between him and it, and then what has been written, by the angel, surpasses, and he starts doing deeds of the people of the hell, fire and enters the hell, fire. Hadith 8. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Allah has appointed an angel in the womb, and the angel says, O Lord. A drop of discharge, that is, of semen, O Lord. A clot, O Lord. A piece of flesh. And then, if Allah wishes to complete the child's creation, the angel will say, O Lord. A male or a female? O Lord. Wretched or blessed, in religion? What will his livelihood be? What will his age be? The angel writes all this while the child is in the womb of its mother. Hadith 9. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Allah will say to that person of the hell, fire who will receive the least punishment, if you had everything on the earth, would you give it as a ransom to free yourself, that is, save yourself from this fire? He will say, yes. Then Allah will say, while you were in the backbone of Adam, I asked you much less than this, that is, not to worship others besides me, but you insisted on worshipping others besides me. Hadith 10. Narrated Abdullāh, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whenever a person is murdered unjustly, there is a share from the burden of the crime on the first son of Adam, for he was the first to start the tradition of murdering. Hadith 11. Narrated Aisha, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, souls are like recruited troops, those who are like qualities are inclined to each other, but those who have dissimilar qualities, differ. Hadith 12. Narrated Ibn Umar, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, stood amongst the people, glorified and praised Allah as he deserved, and then mentioned the Dajjal, saying, I warn you against him, that is, the Dajjal, and there was no prophet but warned his nation against him. No doubt, Noah warned his nation against him, but I tell you about him something of which no prophet told his nation before me. You should know that he is one-eyed, and Allah is not one-eyed. Hadith 13. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, shall I not tell you about the Dajjal, a story of which no prophet told his nation? The Dajjal is one-eyed and will bring with him what will resemble hell and paradise, and what he will call paradise will be actually hell, so I warn you against him, as Noah warned his nation against him. Hadith 14. Narrated Abu Sa'id, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Noah and his nation will come, on the day of resurrection, and Allah will ask, Noah, did you convey the message? He will reply, yes, O my Lord. Then Allah will ask Noah's nation, did Noah convey my message to you? They will reply, no, no prophet came to us. Then Allah will ask Noah, who will stand a witness for you? He will reply, Muhammad and his followers will stand witness for me. So, I and my followers will stand as witnesses for him, that he conveyed Allah's message. That is, the interpretation of the statement of Allah, "Thus we have made you a just and the best nation that you might be witnesses over mankind." Surah 2, Ayah 143. Hadith 15. Narrated Abu Hurairah, we were in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at a banquet, and a cooked mutton forearm was set before him, and he used to like it. He ate a morsel of it and said, "I will be the chief of all the people on the day of resurrection." Do you know how Allah will gather all the first and the last people in one level place where an observer will be able to see all of them, and they will be able to hear the announcer, and the sun will come near to them? Some people will say, "Don't you see in what condition you are and the state to which you have reached? Why don't you look for a person who can intercede for you with your Lord?" Some people will say, "Appeal to your father, Adam." They will go to him and say, "O Adam, you are the father of all mankind, and Allah created you with His own hands, and ordered the angels to prostrate for you, and made you live in paradise. Will you not intercede for us with your Lord? Don't you see in what miserable state we are, and to what condition we have reached?" On that, Adam will reply, "My Lord is so angry as he has never been before and will never be in the future. Besides, he forbade me to eat from the tree, but I disobeyed him. I am worried about myself. Go to somebody else, go to Noah." They will go to Noah and say, "O Noah, you are the first amongst the messengers of Allah to the people of the earth, and Allah named you a thankful slave. Don't you see in what a miserable state we are and to what condition we have reached? Will you not intercede for us with your Lord?" Noah will reply, "Today my Lord has become so angry as he had never been before and will never be in the future. Myself. Go to the Prophet, Muhammad. The people will come to me, and I will prostrate myself underneath Allah's throne. Then I will be addressed, 'O Muhammad, raise your head, intercede, for your intercession will be accepted, and ask for anything, for you will be given.'" Hadith 16. Narrated Abdullāh, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, recited the following verse in the usual tone, "So is there any who will remember?" Surah 54, Ayah 15. Hadith 17. Narrated Anas, Abu Dur used to say that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "While I was at Makkah, the roof of my house was opened and Jibreel descended, opened my chest, and washed it with Zamzam water. Then he brought a golden tray full of wisdom and faith, and having poured its contents into my chest, he closed it. Then he took my hand and ascended with me to the heaven. When Jibreel reached the nearest heaven, he said to the gatekeeper of the heaven, 'Open the gate.' The gatekeeper asked, 'Who is it?' Jibreel answered, 'Jibreel.' He asked, 'Is there anyone with you?' Jibreel replied, 'Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is with me.' He asked, 'Has he been called?' Jibreel said, 'Yes.' So, the gate was opened and we went over the nearest heaven, and there we saw a man sitting with us with a large number of people, on his right and us with on his left. When he looked towards his right, he laughed, and when he looked towards his left, he wept. He said to me, 'Welcome, O pious Prophet and pious son.' I said, 'Who is this man, O Jibreel?' Jibreel replied, 'He is Adam, and the people on his right and left are the souls of his offspring. Those on the right are the people of paradise, and those on the left are the people of the hell fire. So, when he looks to the right, he laughs, and when he looks to the left he weeps.' Then Jibreel ascended with me till he reached the second heaven and said to the gatekeeper, 'Open the gate.' The gatekeeper said to him the same as the gatekeeper of the first heaven had said, and he opened the gate." Anas added, Abu Dur mentioned that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, met Idris, Musa, Moses, Isa, Jesus, and Ibrahim, Abraham, over the heavens, but he did not specify their places, that is, on which heavens each of them was, but he mentioned that he, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had met Adam on the nearest heaven, and Ibrahim on the sixth. Anas said, when Jibreel and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by Idris, the latter said, Welcome, O pious Prophet and pious brother. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked, Who is he? Jibreel said, He is Idris. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, Then I passed by Musa who said, Welcome, O pious Prophet and pious brother. I said, Who is he? Jibreel said, He is Musa. Then I passed by Isa who said, Welcome, O pious Prophet and pious brother. I said, Who is he? He replied, He is Isa. Then I passed by the Prophet Ibrahim, peace and blessings be upon him, who said, Welcome, O pious Prophet and pious son. I said, Who is he? Jibreel replied, He is Ibrahim. Narrated Ibn Abbas and Abu Hayyah al-Ansari, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Then Jibreel ascended with me to a place where I heard the creaking of pens. Ibn Hazm and Anas bin Malik state that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Allah enjoined 50 salat, prayers, on me. When I returned with this order of Allah, I passed by Musa who asked me, What has Allah enjoined on your followers? I replied, He has enjoined 50 salat, prayers, on them. On that, Musa said to me, Go back to your Lord, and appeal for reduction, for your followers will not be able to bear it. So, I returned to my Lord and asked for some reduction, and he reduced it to half. When I passed by Musa again and informed him about it, he once more said to me, Go back to your Lord, for your followers will not be able to bear it. So, I returned to my Lord similarly as before, and half of it was reduced. I again passed by Musa and he said to me, Go back to your Lord, for your followers will not be able to bear it. I again returned to my Lord and he said, These are 5 salat, prayers, and they are all, equal to, 50, in reward, for my word does not change. I returned to Musa, he again told me to return to my Lord, for further reduction, but I said to him, I feel shy of asking my Lord now. Then Jibreel took me till we reached Sidrat-ul-Muntaha, that is, Lout tree of utmost boundary, which was shrouded in colors indescribable. Then I was admitted into paradise where I found small tents, made of pearls and its earth was musk, a kind of perfume. Hadīth 18. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I have been made victorious with As-Sabah, that is, an easterly wind, and the people of Ad were destroyed by Ad-Dabur, that is, a westerly wind. Hadīth 19. Narrated Abu Sa'id, Ali sent a piece of gold to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, who distributed it among 4 persons, Al-Aqra bin Habis al-Hanzali from the tribe of Mujashi, Uyaynah bin Badr al-Fazari, Zayd at-Ta'i who belonged to the tribe of Bani Nabhan, and Al-Qamah bin Alatha al-Amiri who belonged to the tribe of Bani Kalab. So the Quraysh and the Ansar became angry and said, He, that is, the Prophet, gives the chief of Najd and does not give us. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I give them so as to attract their hearts to Islam. Then a man with sunken eyes, prominent cheeks, a raised forehead, a thick beard and a shaven head came, in front of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, Be afraid of Allah, O Muhammad. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Who would obey Allah if I disobeyed him? Is it fair that Allah has trusted all the people of the earth to me, while you do not trust me? Somebody, who I think was Khalid bin al-Walid, requested the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to let him chop that man's head off, but he prevented him. When the man left, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Among the offspring of this man will be some who will recite the Qur'an but the Qur'an will not reach beyond their throats, that is, they will recite like parrots and will not understand it nor act on it, and they will renegade from the religion as an arrow goes through the game's body. They will kill the Muslims but will not disturb the idolaters. If I should live up to their time, I will kill them as the people of Ad were killed, that is, I will kill all of them. Hadith 20. Narrated Abdullāh, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reciting, so is there any who will remember? Surah 54, Ayah 15. Hadith 21. Narrated Zainab bint Jahash, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, once came to her in a state of fear and said, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah. Woe unto the Arabs from a danger that has come near. An opening has been made in the wall of Gog and Magog like this, making a circle with his thumb and index finger. Zainab bint Jahash said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Shall we be destroyed even though there are pious persons among us? He said, yes, when the evil persons will increase. Hadith 22. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Allah has made an opening in the wall of the Gog and Magog people, like this, and he made with his hand, with the help of his fingers. Hadith 23. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Allah will say, on the day of resurrection, O Adam. Adam will reply, Labbaik wa sa'daik, and all the good is in your hand. Allah will say, bring out the people of the fire. Adam will say, O Allah. How many are the people of the fire? Allah will reply, from every 1,000, take out 999. At that time, children will become hoary-headed, every pregnant female will have a miscarriage, and one will see mankind as drunken, yet they will not be drunken, but dreadful will be the wrath of Allah. The companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked, O Allah's Apostle. Who is that, accepted, one? He said, rejoice with glad tidings, one person will be from you and 1,000 will be from Gog and Magog. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, further said, by him in whose hands my life is, I hope that you will be 1/4 of the people of paradise. We shouted, Allahu Akbar. He added, I hope that you will be 1/3 of the people of paradise. We shouted, Allahu Akbar. He said, I hope that you will be half of the people of paradise. We shouted, Allahu Akbar. He further said, you, Muslims, compared with non-Muslims, are like a black hair in the skin of a white ox or like a white hair in the skin of a black ox, that is, your number is very small as compared with theirs. Hadith 24. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, you will be gathered, on the day of judgment, barefooted, naked and not circumcised. He then recited, as we began the first creation, we shall repeat it, a promise we have undertaken, truly we shall do it. Surah 21, Ayah 104. He added, the first to be dressed on the day of resurrection will be Abraham, and some of my companions will be taken towards the left side, that is, to the hell fire, and I will say, my companions. My companions. It will be said, they renegade from Islam after you left them. Then I will say as the pious slave of Allah, that is, Jesus, said, and I was a witness over them while I dwelt amongst them. When you took me up, you were the watcher over them, and you are a witness to all things. If you punish them, they are your slaves, and if you forgive them, verily you, only you are the Almighty, the All-Wise. Surah 5, Ayat 120 to 121. Hadith 25. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, on the day of resurrection, Abraham will meet his father Azar whose face will be dark and covered with dust. The Prophet Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, will say to him, didn't I tell you not to disobey me? His father will reply, today I will not disobey you. Abraham will say, O Lord! You promised me not to disgrace me on the day of resurrection, and what will be more disgraceful to me than cursing and dishonoring my father? Then Allah will say, to him, I have forbidden paradise for the disbelievers. Then he will be addressed, O Abraham! Look! what is underneath your feet? He will look and there he will see a dub, an animal, blood-stained, which will be caught by the legs and thrown in the hell fire. Hadith 26. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered the Kaaba, and found in it the pictures of Prophet Abraham and Mary. On that, he said, what is the matter with them, that is, Quraysh? They have already heard that angels do not enter a house in which there are pictures, yet this is the picture of Abraham. And why is he depicted as practicing divination by arrows? Hadith 27. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saw pictures in the Kaaba, he did not enter it till he ordered them to be erased. When he saw the pictures of Abraham and Isma'il carrying the arrows of divination, he said, may Allah curse them, that is, the Quraysh. By Allah, neither Abraham nor Isma'il practiced divination by arrows. Hadith 28. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the people said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Who is the most honorable amongst the people, in Allah's sight? He said, the most righteous amongst them. They said, we do not ask you about this. He said, then Joseph, Allah's prophet, the son of Allah's prophet, the son of Allah's prophet, the son of Allah's Khalil, that is, Abraham. They said, we do not want to ask about this. He said, then you want to ask about the descent of the Arabs? Those who were the best in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance will be the best in Islam, provided they comprehend the religious knowledge. Hadith 29. Narrated Samurah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, two persons came to me at night, in a dream, and took me along with them. We passed by a tall man who was so tall that I was not able to see his head, and that person was Abraham. Hadith 30. Narrated Mujahid, that when the people mentioned before Ibn Abbas that the Dajjal would have the word kafir, that is, unbeliever, or the letters kafir, the root of the Arabic verb disbelieve, written on his forehead, I heard Ibn Abbas saying, I did not hear this, but the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if you want to see Abraham, then look at your companion, that is, the Prophet, but Moses was a curly-haired, brown man, who used to ride a red camel, the reins of which was made of fibers of date palms. As if I were now looking down a valley. Hadith 31. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Abraham did his circumcision with an adze at the age of 80. Narrated Abu az-Zinad, as above, with an adze, a type of curved blade axe. Hadith 32. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Abraham did not tell a lie except on 3 occasions. Hadith 33. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Abraham did not tell a lie except on 3 occasions. Twice for the sake of Allah when he said, I am sick, and he said, I have not done this but, the big idol has done it. The third was, that while Abraham and Sarah, his wife, were going on a journey, they passed by the territory of a tyrant. Someone said to the tyrant, this man, that is, Abraham, is accompanied by a very charming lady. So, he sent for Abraham and asked him about Sarah, saying, who is this lady? Abraham said, she is my sister. Abraham went to Sarah and said, O Sarah! There are no believers on the surface of the earth except you and I. This man asked me about you and I have told him that you are my sister, so don't contradict my statement. The tyrant then called Sarah, and when she went to him, he tried to take hold of her with his hand, but his hand got stiff and he was confounded. He asked Sarah, pray to Allah for me, and I shall not harm you. So Sarah asked Allah to cure him and he got cured. He tried to take hold of her for the second time, but his hand got as stiff as or stiffer than before and was more confounded. He again requested Sarah, pray to Allah for me, and I will not harm you. Sarah asked Allah again and he became all right. He then called one of his guards, who had brought her, and said, "You have not brought me a human being but have brought me a devil." The tyrant then gave Hajar as a girl servant to Sarah. Sarah came back to Abraham while he was praying. Abraham, gesturing with his hand, asked, "What has happened?" She replied, "Allah has spoiled the evil plot of the infidel, or immoral person, and gave me Hajar for service." Abu Hurairah then addressed his listeners saying, that Hajar was your mother, O Bani Israel, that is, the Arabs, the descendants of Isma'il, Hajar's son. Hadith 34. Narrated Sharik, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered that the salamander should be killed and said, it, that is, the salamander, blew the fire on Abraham. Hadith 35. Narrated Abdullāh, when the verse, "It is those who believe and do not confuse their belief with wrong," that is, joining others in worship with Allah, Surah 6, Ayah 83, was revealed, we said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Who is there amongst us who has not done wrong to himself? He replied, "It is not as you say, for wrong in the verse and do not confuse their belief with wrong means shirk, that is, joining others in worship with Allah. Haven't you heard Luqman saying to his son, O my son, join not others in worship with Allah, verily joining others in worship with Allah is a great wrong indeed." Surah 31, Ayah 13. Hadith 36. Narrated Abu Hurairah, one day, some meat was given to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he said, on the day of resurrection, Allah will gather all the first and the last people in one plain, and the voice of the announcer will reach all of them, and one will be able to see them all, and the sun will come closer to them. The narrator then mentioned the narration of intercession. The people will go to Abraham and say, "You are Allah's prophet and his Khalil on the earth. Will you intercede for us with your Lord?" Abraham will then remember his lies and say, Myself. Go to Moses." Hadith 37. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "May Allah bestow his mercy on the mother of Isma'il. Had she not hastened to fill her water skin with water from the Zamzam well, Zamzam would have been a stream flowing on the surface of the earth." Ibn Abbas further added, the Prophet, Abraham brought Ishmael and his mother to Makkah, and she was suckling Ishmael, and she had a water skin with her. Hadith 38. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the first lady to use a girdle was the mother of Ishmael. She used a girdle so that she might hide her tracks from Sarah. Abraham brought her and her son Ishmael while she was suckling him, to a place near the Kaaba under a tree on the spot of Zamzam, at the highest place in the mosque. During those days there was nobody in Makkah, nor was there any water. So he made them sit over there and placed near them a leather bag containing some dates, and a small water skin containing some water, and set out homeward. Ishmael's mother followed him saying, "O Abraham! Where are you going, leaving us in this valley where there is no person whose company we may enjoy, nor is there anything to enjoy?" She repeated that to him many times, but he did not look back at her. Then she asked him, "Has Allah ordered you to do so?" He said, "Yes." She said, "Then he will not neglect us," and returned while Abraham proceeded onwards, and on reaching the Thaniya where they could not see him, he faced the Kaaba, and raising both hands, invoked Allah saying the following prayers, "O our Lord! I have made some of my offspring dwell in a valley without cultivation, by your sacred house, Kaaba at Makkah, in order, O our Lord, that they may offer prayer perfectly. So fill some hearts among men with love towards them, and, O Allah, provide them with fruits, so that they may give thanks." Surah 14, Ayah 37. Ishmael's mother went on suckling Ishmael and drinking from the water she had. When the water and the water skin had all been used up, she became thirsty and her child also became thirsty. She started looking at him, that is, Ishmael, tossing in agony. She left him, for she could not endure looking at him, and found that the mountain of Safa was the nearest mountain to her on that land. She stood on it and started looking at the valley keenly so that she might see somebody, but she could not see anybody. Then she descended from Safa, and when she reached the valley, she tucked up her robe and ran in the valley like a person in distress and trouble, till she crossed the valley and reached the Marwah mountain, where she stood and started looking, expecting to see somebody, but she could not see anybody. She repeated that, running between Safa and Marwah, 7 times. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "This is the source of the tradition of the walking of people between them, that is, Safa and Marwah." When she reached the Marwah, for the last time, she heard a voice and she asked herself to be quiet and listened attentively. She heard the voice again and said, "Oh, whoever you may be. You have made me hear your voice, have you got something to help me?" And behold, she saw an angel at the place of Zamzam, digging the earth with his heel, or his wing, till water flowed from that place. She started to make something like a basin around it, using her hand in this way, and started filling her water skin with water with her hands, and the water was flowing out after she had scooped some of it. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, "May Allah bestow mercy on Ishmael's mother. Had she let the Zamzam flow without trying to control it, or had she not scooped from that water, to fill her water skin, Zamzam would have been a stream flowing on the surface of the earth." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, further added, "Then she drank water, and suckled her child." The angel said to her, "Don't be afraid of being neglected, for this is the house of Allah which will be built by this boy and his father, and Allah never neglects his people." The house, that is, Kaaba, at that time was on a high place resembling a hillock, and when torrents came, they flowed to its right and left. She lived in that way till some people from the tribe of Jurhum, or a family from Jurhum, passed by her and her child, as they, that is, the Jurhum people, were coming through the way of Qada. They landed in the lower part of Makkah, where they saw a bird that had the habit of flying around water and not leaving it. They said, "This bird must be flying around water, though we know that there is no water in this valley." They sent 1 or 2 messengers who discovered the source of water, and returned to inform them of the water. So, they all came towards the water. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, "Ishmael's mother was sitting near the water." They asked her, "Do you allow us to stay with you?" She replied, "Yes, but you will have no right to possess the water." They agreed to that. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, further said, "Ishmael's mother was pleased with the whole situation, as she used to love to enjoy the company of the people. So, they settled there, and later on they sent for their families who came and settled with them, so that some families became permanent residents there. The child, that is, Ishmael, grew up and learnt Arabic from them, and his virtues caused them to love and admire him as he grew up, and when he reached the age of puberty, they made him marry a woman from amongst them. After Ishmael's mother had died, Abraham came after Ishmael's marriage in order to see his family that he had left before, but he did not find Ishmael there. When he asked Ishmael's wife about him, she replied, "He has gone in search of our livelihood." Then he asked her about their way of living and their condition, and she replied, "We are living in misery, we are living in hardship and destitution," complaining to him. He said, "When your husband returns, convey my salutation to him and tell him to change the threshold of the gate of his house." When Ishmael came, he seemed to have felt something unusual, so he asked his wife, "Has anyone visited you?" She replied, "Yes, an old man of so-and-so description came and asked me about you, and I informed him, and he asked about our state of living, and I told him that we were living in hardship and poverty." On that, Ishmael said, "Did he advise you anything?" She replied, "Yes, he told me to convey his salutation to you and to tell you to change the threshold of your gate." Ishmael said, "It was my father, and he has ordered me to divorce you. Go back to your family." So, Ishmael divorced her and married another woman from amongst them, that is, Jurhum. Then Abraham stayed away from them for a period as long as Allah wished and called on them again but did not find Ishmael. So he came to Ishmael's wife and asked her about Ishmael. She said, "He has gone in search of our livelihood." Abraham asked her, "How are you getting on?" asking her about their sustenance and living. She replied, "We are prosperous and well off, that is, we have everything in abundance." Then she thanked Allah. Abraham said, "What kind of food do you eat?" She said, "Meat." He said, "What do you drink?" She said, "Water." He said, "O Allah, bless their meat and water." The Prophet added, "At that time they did not have grain, and if they had grain, he would have also invoked Allah to bless it." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, "If somebody has only these two things as his sustenance, his health and disposition will be badly affected, unless he lives in Makkah." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, "Then Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, 'When your husband comes, give my regards to him and tell him that he should keep firm the threshold of his gate.'" When Ishmael came back, he asked his wife, "Did anyone call on you?" She replied, "Yes, a good-looking old man came to me," so she praised him and added, "He asked about you, and I informed him, and he asked about our livelihood and I told him that we were in a good condition." Ishmael asked her, "Did he give you any piece of advice?" She said, "Yes, he told me to give his regards to you and ordered that you should keep firm the threshold of your gate." On that, Ishmael said, "It was my father, and you are the threshold of the gate. He has ordered me to keep you with me." Then Abraham stayed away from them for a period as long as Allah wished, and called on them afterwards. He saw Ishmael under a tree near Zamzam, sharpening his arrows. When he saw Abraham, he rose up to welcome him, and they greeted each other as a father does with his son or a son does with his father. Abraham said, "O Ishmael, Allah has given me an order." Ishmael said, "Do what your Lord has ordered you to do." Abraham asked, "Will you help me?" Ishmael said, "I will help you." Abraham said, "Allah has ordered me to build a house here," pointing to a hillock higher than the land surrounding it. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, "Then they raised the foundations of the house, that is, the Kaaba." Ishmael brought the stones and Abraham was building, and when the walls became high, Ishmael brought this stone and put it for Abraham, who stood over it and carried on building, while Ishmael was handing him the stones, and both of them were saying, "O our Lord, accept this service from us, verily, you are the all-hearing, the all-knowing." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, "Then both of them went on building and going round the Kaaba saying, O our Lord, accept this service from us, verily, you are the all-hearing, the all-knowing." Surah 2, Ayah 127. Hadīth 39. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when Abraham had differences with his wife, because of her jealousy of Hajar, Ishmael's mother, he took Ishmael and his mother and went away. They had a water skin with them containing some water. Ishmael's mother used to drink water from the water skin so that her milk would increase for her child. When Abraham reached Makkah, he made her sit under a tree and afterwards returned home. Ishmael's mother followed him, and when they reached Qada, she called him from behind, "O Abraham, to whom are you leaving us?" He replied, "I am leaving you, to Allah's care." She said, "I am satisfied to be with Allah." She returned to her place and started drinking water from the water skin, and her milk increased for her child. When the water had all been used up, she said to herself, "I'd better go and look so that I may see somebody." She ascended the Safa mountain and looked, hoping to see somebody, but in vain. When she came down to the valley, she ran till she reached the Marwah mountain. She ran to and fro, between the two mountains, many times. Then she said to herself, "I'd better go and see the state of the child." She went and found it in a state of one on the point of dying. She could not endure to watch it dying and said, to herself, if I go and look, I may find somebody. She went and ascended the Safa mountain and looked for a long while but could not find anybody. Thus she completed 7 rounds of running between Safa and Marwa. Again she said, to herself, I'd better go back and see the state of the child. But suddenly she heard a voice, and she said to that strange voice, help us if you can offer any help. Lo! It was Gabriel, who had made the voice. Gabriel hit the earth with his heel like this. Ibn Abbas hit the earth with his heel to illustrate it, and so the water gushed out. Ishmael's mother was astonished and started digging. Abu al-Qasim, that is, the prophet, said, if she had left the water flow naturally without her intervention, it would have been flowing on the surface of the earth. Ishmael's mother started drinking from the water and her milk increased for her child. Afterward some people of the tribe of Jurhum, while passing through the bottom of the valley, saw some birds, and that astonished them, and they said, birds can only be found at a place where there is water. They sent a messenger who searched the place and found the water, and returned to inform them about it. Then they all went to her and said, O Ishmael's mother! Will you allow us to be with you, or dwell with you? And thus they stayed there. Later on, her boy reached the age of puberty and married a lady from them. Then an idea occurred to Abraham which he disclosed to his wife, Sarah, I want to call on my dependents I left, at Makkah. When he went there, he greeted Ishmael's wife, and said, Where is Ishmael? She replied, He has gone out hunting. Abraham said, to her, When he comes, tell him to change the threshold of his gate. When he came, she told him the same, whereupon Ishmael said to her, You are the threshold, so go to your family, that is, you are divorced. Again Abraham thought of visiting his dependents whom he had left, at Makkah, and he told his wife, Sarah, of his intentions. Abraham came to Ishmael's house and asked, Where is Ishmael? Ishmael's wife replied, He has gone out hunting, and added, Will you stay, for some time, and have something to eat and drink? Abraham asked, What is your food and what is your drink? She replied, Our food is meat and our drink is water. He said, O Allah! Bless their meals and their drink. Abu al-Qasim, that is, prophet, said, Because of Abraham's invocation there are blessings, in Makkah. Once more Abraham thought of visiting his family he had left, at Makkah, so he told his wife, Sarah, of his decision. He went and found Ishmael behind the Zamzam well, mending his arrows. He said, O Ishmael, your Lord has ordered me to build a house for him. Ishmael said, Obey the order of your Lord. Abraham said, Allah has also ordered me that you should help me therein. Ishmael said, Then I will do. So, both of them rose and Abraham started building the Kaaba, while Ishmael went on handing him the stones, and both of them were saying, O our Lord! Accept this service from us, verily, you are the all-hearing, the all-knowing. Surah 2, Ayah 127. When the building became high and the old man, that is, Abraham, could no longer lift the stones to such a high position, he stood over the stone of Al-Maqam and Ishmael carried on handing him the stones, and both of them were saying, O our Lord! Accept this service from us, verily you are all-hearing, all-knowing. Surah 2, Ayah 127. Hadith 40. Narrated Abu Dar, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Which mosque was first built on the surface of the earth? He said, Al-Masjid al-Haram, in Makkah. I said, Which was built next? He replied, The Mosque of Al-Aqsa, in Jerusalem. I said, What was the period of construction between the two? He said, 40 years. He added, Wherever you may be, and the prayer time becomes due, perform the prayer there, for the best thing is to do so, that is, to offer the prayers in time. Hadith 41. Narrated Anas bin Malik, when the mountain of Uhud came in the sight of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, "This is a mountain that loves us and is loved by us. O Allah! Abraham made Makkah a sanctuary, and I make, the area, in between these two mountains, of Medina, a sanctuary." Hadith 42. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, to her, "Don't you see that when your folk built the Kaaba, they did not build it on all the foundations built by Abraham?" I said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Why don't we rebuild it on the foundations of Abraham?" He said, "But for the fact that your folk have recently given up infidelity, I would have done so." Narrated Ibn Umar, Aisha must have heard this from Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, for I see that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used not to touch the two corners facing Al-Khidr only because the house had not been built on the foundations of Abraham. Hadith 43. Narrated Abu Humayd as-Sa'idi, the people asked, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. How shall we ask Allah to send blessings on you?" Allah's Apostle replied, "Say, O Allah, send your mercy on Muhammad and on his wives and on his offspring, as you sent your mercy on Abraham's family, and send your blessings on Muhammad and on his offspring, as you sent your blessings on Abraham's family, for you are the most praiseworthy, the most glorious." Hadith 44. Narrated Abdur Rahman bin Abi Layla, Ka'b bin Ujrah met me and said, "Shall I not give you a present I got from the Prophet?" Abdur Rahman said, "Yes, give it to me." I said, "We asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. How should one ask Allah to send blessings on you, the members of the family, for Allah has taught us how to salute you in the prayer?" He said, "Say, O Allah, send your mercy on Muhammad and on the family of Muhammad, as you sent your mercy on Abraham and on the family of Abraham, for you are the most praiseworthy, the most glorious. O Allah, send your blessings on Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, as you sent your blessings on Abraham and on the family of Abraham, for you are the most praiseworthy, the most glorious." Hadith 45. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to seek refuge with Allah for Al-Hasan and Al-Husayn and say, "Your forefather, that is, Abraham, used to seek refuge with Allah for Isma'il and Isaac by reciting the following, O Allah, I seek refuge with your perfect words from every devil and from poisonous pests and from every evil, harmful, envious eye." Hadith 46. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "We are more liable to be in doubt than Abraham when he said, My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead." He, that is, Allah, said, "Don't you believe then?" He, that is, Abraham, said, "Yes, but, I ask, in order to be stronger in faith." Surah 2, Ayah 260. And may Allah send His mercy on Lot. He wished to have a powerful support. "If I were to stay in prison for such a long time as Joseph did, I would have accepted the offer of freedom without insisting on having my guiltlessness declared." Hadith 47. Narrated Salamah bin al-Aqwa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by some persons of the tribe of Aslam practicing archery, that is, the throwing of arrows. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "O offspring of Isma'il, practice archery, that is, arrow throwing, as your father was a great archer, that is, arrow thrower. I am on the side of, the son of so-and-so." Hearing that, one of the two teams stopped throwing. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, asked them, "Why are you not throwing?" They replied, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. How shall we throw when you are with the opposite team?" He said, "Throw, for I am with you all." Hadith 48. Narrated Abu Hurairah, some people asked the Prophet, "Who is the most honorable amongst the people?" He replied, "The most honorable among them is the one who is the most Allah-fearing." They said, "O Allah's Prophet, we do not ask about this." He said, "Then the most honorable person is Joseph, Allah's Prophet, the son of Allah's Prophet, the son of Allah's Prophet, the son of Allah's Khalil." They said, "We do not ask about this." He said, "Then you want to ask me about the Arabs' descent?" They said, "Yes." He said, "Those who were best in the pre-Islamic period are the best in Islam, if they comprehend the religious knowledge." Hadith 49. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "May Allah forgive Lot, he wanted to have a powerful support." Hadith 50. Narrated Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, recited, "Is there any that will remember and avoid evil?" Surah 54, Ayah 15. Hadith 51. Narrated Abdullāh bin Zamah, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, while referring to the person who had cut the legs of the she-camel, of the Prophet Salih, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, "The man who was appointed for doing this job, was a man of honor and power in his nation like Abu Zamah." Hadith 52. Narrated Ibn Umar, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, landed at Al-Khidr during the Ghazwa of Tabuk, he ordered his companions not to drink water from its well or reserve water from it. They said, "We have already kneaded the dough with its water, and also filled our bags with its water." On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered them to throw away the dough and pour out the water. Hadith 53. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, the people landed at the land of Thamud called Al-Khidr along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and they took water from its well for drinking and kneading the dough with it as well. When Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, heard about it, he ordered them to pour out the water they had taken from its wells and feed the camels with the dough, and ordered them to take water from the well whence the she-camel, of Prophet Salih, used to drink. Hadith 54. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by a place called Al-Khidr, he said, "Do not enter the houses of those who were unjust to themselves, unless you enter, weeping, lest you should suffer the same punishment as was inflicted upon them." After that he covered his face with his sheet cloth while he was on the camel saddle. Hadith 55. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Do not enter the ruined dwellings of those who were unjust to themselves unless you enter, weeping, lest you should suffer the same punishment as was inflicted upon them." Hadith 56. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The Honorable is the son of the Honorable, the son of the Honorable, the son of the Honorable, that is, Joseph, the son of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham." Hadith 57. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked, "Who is the most honorable amongst the people?" He replied, "The most Allah-fearing." The people said, "We do not want to ask you about this." He said, "The most honorable person is Joseph, Allah's Prophet, the son of Allah's Prophet, the son of Allah's Prophet, the son of Allah's Khalil." The people said, "We do not want to ask you about this." He said, "Then you want to ask me about the origins of the Arabs?" People are of various origins. The best in the pre-Islamic period are the best in Islam, provided they comprehend the religious knowledge. Hadith 58. Narrated Aisha, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to her, "Order Abu Bakr to lead the people in prayer." She replied, "Abu Bakr is a soft-hearted person, and when he stands at your place, he will weep, so he will not be able to lead the prayer." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, repeated the same order and she gave the same reply. The narrator, Shu'bah, said that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said on the third or fourth time, "You are, like, the female companions of Joseph. Order Abu Bakr to lead the prayer." Hadith 59. Narrated Abu Musa, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, fell ill, he said, "Order Abu Bakr to lead the people in prayer." Aisha said, "Abu Bakr is a soft-hearted person." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave the same order again, and she again gave the same reply. He again said, "Order Abu Bakr to lead the prayer. You are, like, the female companions of Joseph." Consequently, Abu Bakr led the people in prayer in the lifetime of the Prophet. Hadith 60. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "O Allah, save Ayyash bin Abi Rabi'ah from the unjust treatment of the infidels. O Allah, save Salamah bin Hisham. O Allah, send your punishment on the tribe of Mudar. O Allah, let them suffer from years of drought, similar to that inflicted during the lifetime of Joseph." Hadith 61. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "May Allah bestow His mercy on Lot. He wanted to have a powerful support. If I were to stay in prison, for a period equal to the stay of Joseph in prison, and then the offer of freedom came to me, then I would have accepted it." Hadith 62. Narrated Masruq, I asked Ruman, Aisha's mother, about the accusation forged against Aisha. She said, "While I was sitting with Aisha, an Ansari woman came to us and said, 'Let Allah condemn such and such person.' I asked her, 'Why do you say so?' She replied, 'For he has spread the slanderous story.' Aisha said, 'What story?' The woman then told her the story. Aisha asked, 'Have Abu Bakr and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, heard about it?' She said, 'Yes.' Aisha fell down senseless, on hearing that, and when she came to her senses, she got fever and shaking of the body. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came and asked, 'What is wrong with her?' I said, 'She has got fever because of a story which has been rumored.' Aisha got up and said, 'By Allah, even if I took an oath, you would not believe me, and if I put forward an excuse, you would not excuse me. My example and your example is just like that example of Jacob and his sons. Against that which you assert, it is Allah alone whose help can be sought." Surah 12, Ayah 18. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, left, and then Allah revealed the verses concerning the matter, and on that Aisha said, "Thanks to Allah only, and not to anybody else." Hadith 63. Narrated Urwa, I asked Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about the meaning of the following verse, "Respite will be granted, until when the apostles give up hope of their people, and thought that they were denied by their people." Surah 12, Ayah 110, Aisha replied, "Really, their nations did not believe them." I said, "By Allah, they were definite that their nations treated them as liars, and it was not a matter of suspecting." Aisha said, "O Urayya, that is, Urwa. No doubt, they were quite sure about it." I said, "May the verse be read in such a way as to mean that the apostles thought that Allah did not help them?" Aisha said, "Allah forbid. Impossible. The apostles did not suspect their Lord of such a thing." But this verse is concerned with the apostles' followers who had faith in their Lord and believed in their apostles, and their period of trials was long, and Allah's help was delayed till the apostles gave up hope for the conversion of the disbelievers amongst their nation and suspected that even their followers were shaken in their belief. Allah's help then came to them. Hadith 64. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The Honorable, the son of the Honorable, the son of the Honorable, the son of the Honorable, was Joseph, the son of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham." Hadith 65. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, while Job was naked, taking a bath, a swarm of gold locusts fell on him and he started collecting them in his garment. His Lord called him, O Job, have I not made you rich enough to need what you see? He said, Yes, O Lord. But I cannot dispense with your blessing. Hadith 66. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, returned to Khadijah while his heart was beating rapidly. She took him to Waraqah bin Nawfal, who was a Christian convert and used to read the Gospels in Arabic. Waraqah asked the Prophet, What do you see? When he told him, Waraqah said, That is the same angel whom Allah sent to the Prophet Moses. Should I live till you receive the divine message, I will support you strongly. Hadith 67. Narrated Malik bin Sa'sa, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, talked to his companions about his night journey to the heavens. When he reached the fifth heaven, he met Aaron. Gabriel said to the Prophet, This is Aaron. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Gabriel greeted and so did I, and he returned the greeting saying, Welcome, O pious brother and pious Prophet. Hadith 68. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, On the night of my ascension to heaven, I saw the Prophet Moses, who was a thin person with lank hair, looking like one of the men of the tribe of Shanua, and I saw Jesus, who was of average height with red face as if he had just come out of a bathroom. And I resemble Prophet Abraham more than any of his offspring does. Then I was given 2 cups, one containing milk and the other wine. Gabriel said, Drink whichever you like. I took the milk and drank it. Gabriel said, You have accepted what is natural, true religion, that is, Islam, and if you had taken the wine, your followers would have gone astray. Hadith 69. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, One should not say that I am better than Jonah, that is, Yunus, bin Matta. So, he mentioned his father Matta. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned the night of his ascension and said, The Prophet Moses was brown, a tall person as if from the people of the tribe of Shanua. Jesus was a curly-haired man of moderate height. He also mentioned Malik, the gatekeeper of the hell, fire, and Ad-Dajjal. Hadith 70. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came to Medina, he found the Jews fasting on the day of Ashura, that is, 10th of Muharram. They used to say, This is a great day on which Allah saved Moses and drowned the folk of Pharaoh. Moses observed the fast on this day, as a sign of gratitude to Allah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I am closer to Moses than they. So, he observed the fast, on that day, and ordered the Muslims to fast on it. Hadith 71. Narrated Abu Sa'id, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, People will be struck unconscious on the day of resurrection and I will be the first to regain consciousness, and behold, there I will see Moses holding one of the pillars of Allah's throne. I will wonder whether he has become conscious before me, or if he has been exempted, because of his unconsciousness at the Tur mountain, which he received, on the earth. Hadith 72. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Were it not for Bani Israel, meat would not decay, and were it not for Eve, no woman would ever betray her husband. Hadith 73. Narrated Ibn Abbas, that he differed with Al-Hurr bin Qais al-Fazari regarding the companion of Moses. Ibn Abbas said that he was Al-Khidr. Meanwhile Ubay bin Ka'b passed by them and Ibn Abbas called him saying, My friend and I have differed regarding Moses's companion whom Moses asked the way to meet. Have you heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioning something about him? He said, Yes, I heard Allah's apostle saying, while Moses was sitting in the company of some Israelites, a man came and asked him, Do you know anyone who is more learned than you? Moses replied, no. So, Allah sent the divine inspiration to Moses, yes, our slave, Khidr, is more learned than you. Moses asked how to meet him, that is, Khidr. So, the fish was made as a sign for him, and he was told that when the fish was lost, he should return and there he would meet him. So, Moses went on looking for the sign of the fish in the sea. The servant boy of Moses said to him, "Do you know that when we were sitting by the side of the rock, I forgot the fish, and it was only Satan who made me forget to tell you about it?" Moses said, "That was what we were seeking after," and both of them returned, following their footmarks and found Khidr, and what happened further to them is mentioned in Allah's book. Hadīth 74. Narrated Sa'id bin Jubayr, I said to Ibn Abbas, "Nof al-Bukhārī claims that Moses, the companion of Al-Khidr, was not Moses, the prophet, of the children of Israel, but some other Moses." Ibn Abbas said, "Allah's enemy, that is, Nof, has told a lie." Ubay bin Ka'b told us that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, once Moses stood up and addressed Bani Israel. He was asked who was the most learned man amongst the people. He said, "I." Allah admonished him as he did not attribute absolute knowledge to him, Allah. So, Allah said to him, "Yes, at the junction of the two seas there is a slave of mine who is more learned than you." Moses said, "O my Lord! How can I meet him?" Allah said, "Take a fish and put it in a large basket and you will find him at the place where you will lose the fish." Moses took a fish and put it in a basket and proceeded along with his servant boy, Yusha bin Nun, till they reached the rock where they laid their heads, that is, lay down. Moses slept, and the fish, moving out of the basket, fell into the sea. It took its way into the sea, straight, as in a tunnel. Allah stopped the flow of water over the fish and it became like an arch. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, pointed out this arch with his hands. They traveled the rest of the night, and the next day Moses said to his boy, servant, "Give us our food, for indeed, we have suffered much fatigue in this journey of ours." Moses did not feel tired till he crossed that place which Allah had ordered him to seek after. His boy, servant, said to him, "Do you know that when we were sitting near that rock, I forgot the fish, and none but Satan caused me to forget to tell you about it, and it took its course into the sea in an amazing way? So there was a path for the fish and that astonished them." Moses said, "That was what we were seeking after." So, both of them retraced their footsteps till they reached the rock. There they saw a man lying covered with a garment. Moses greeted him and he replied saying, "How do people greet each other in your land?" Moses said, "I am Moses." The man asked, "Moses of Bani Israel?" Moses said, "Yes, I have come to you so that you may teach me from those things which Allah has taught you." He said, "O Moses! I have some of the knowledge of Allah which Allah has taught me, and which you do not know, while you have some of the knowledge of Allah which Allah has taught you and which I do not know." Moses asked, "May I follow you?" He said, "But you will not be able to remain patient with me, for how can you be patient about things which you will not be able to understand?" Moses said, "You will find me, if Allah so will, truly patient, and I will not disobey you in aught." So, both of them set out walking along the seashore. A boat passed by them and they asked the crew of the boat to take them on board. The crew recognized Al-Khidr and so they took them on board without fare. When they were on board the boat, a sparrow came and stood on the edge of the boat and dipped its beak once or twice into the sea. Al-Khidr said to Moses, "O Moses! My knowledge and your knowledge have not decreased Allah's knowledge except as much as this sparrow has decreased the water of the sea with its beak." Then suddenly Al-Khidr took an adze and plucked a plank, and Moses did not notice it till he had plucked a plank with the adze. Moses said to him, "What have you done? They took us on board charging us nothing, yet you have intentionally made a hole in their boat so as to drown its passengers. Verily, you have done a dreadful thing." Al-Khidr replied, "Did I not tell you that you would not be able to remain patient with me?" Moses replied, "Do not blame me for what I have forgotten, and do not be hard upon me for my fault." So the first excuse of Moses was that he had forgotten. When they had left the sea, they passed by a boy playing with other boys. Al-Khidr took hold of the boy's head and plucked it with his hand like this. Sufyan, the sub-narrator, pointed with his fingertips as if he was plucking some fruit. Moses said to him, "Have you killed an innocent person who has not killed any person? You have really done a horrible thing." Al-Khidr said, "Did I not tell you that you could not remain patient with me?" Moses said, "If I ask you about anything after this, don't accompany me. You have received an excuse from me." Then both of them went on till they came to some people of a village, and they asked its inhabitants for food, but they refused to entertain them as guests. Then they saw therein a wall which was just going to collapse, and Al-Khidr repaired it just by touching it with his hands. Sufyan, the sub-narrator, pointed with his hands, illustrating how Al-Khidr passed his hands over the wall upwards. Moses said, "These are the people whom we have called on, but they neither gave us food nor entertained us as guests, yet you have repaired their wall. If you had wished, you could have taken wages for it." Al-Khidr said, "This is the parting between you and me, and I shall tell you the explanation of those things on which you could not remain patient." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, "We wished that Moses could have remained patient, by virtue of which Allah might have told us more about their story." Sufyan the sub-narrator said that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "May Allah bestow His mercy on Moses. If he had remained patient, we would have been told further about their case." Hadīth 75. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Al-Khidr was named so because he sat over a barren white land, it turned green with plantation after his sitting over it. Hadīth 76. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "It was said to Bani Israel, enter the gate of the town, with humility, prostrating yourselves, and saying, repentance, but they changed the word and entered the town crawling on their buttocks and saying, a wheat grain in the hair." Hadīth 77. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the Prophet, Moses was a shy person and used to cover his body completely because of his extensive shyness. One of the children of Israel hurt him by saying, he covers his body in this way only because of some defect in his skin, either leprosy or scrotal hernia, or he has some other defect. Allah wished to clear Moses of what they said about him, so one day while Moses was in seclusion, he took off his clothes and put them on a stone and started taking a bath. When he had finished the bath, he moved towards his clothes so as to take them, but the stone took his clothes and fled. Moses picked up his stick and ran after the stone saying, O stone! Give me my garment! Till he reached a group of Bani Israel who saw him naked then, and found him the best of what Allah had created, and Allah cleared him of what they had accused him of. The stone stopped there and Moses took and put his garment on and started hitting the stone with his stick. By Allah, the stone still has some traces of the hitting, 3, 4 or 5 marks. This was what Allah refers to in his saying, O you who believe! Be you not like those who annoyed Moses, but Allah proved his innocence of that which they alleged, and he was honorable in Allah's sight. Surah 33, Ayah 69. Hadīth 78. Narrated Abdullāh, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, distributed something among his followers. A man said, this distribution has not been done with justice, seeking Allah's countenance. I went to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and told him of that. He became so angry that I saw the signs of anger on his face. Then he said, May Allah bestow His mercy on Moses, for he was harmed more, in a worse manner, than this, yet he endured patiently. Hadīth 79. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, we were with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, picking the fruits of the arak trees, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, pick the black fruit, for it is the best. The companions asked, were you a shepherd? He replied, there was no prophet who was not a shepherd. Hadith 80. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the angel of death was sent to Moses. When he came to Moses, Moses slapped him on the eye. The angel returned to his Lord and said, you have sent me to a slave who does not want to die. Allah said, return to him and tell him to put his hand on the back of an ox, and for every hair that will come under it, he will be granted 1 year of life. Moses said, O Lord, what will happen after that? Allah replied, then death. Moses said, let it come now. Moses then requested Allah to let him die close to the sacred land, so much so that he would be at a distance of a stone's throw from it. Abu Hurairah added, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if I were there, I would show you his grave below the red sandhill on the side of the road. Hadith 81. Narrated Abu Hurairah, a Muslim and a Jew quarreled. The Muslim, taking an oath, said, by him who has preferred Muhammad over all people. The Jew said, by him who has preferred Moses over all people. The Muslim raised his hand and slapped the Jew, who came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to tell him what had happened between him and the Muslim. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, don't give me superiority over Moses, for the people will become unconscious on the day of resurrection, and I will be the first to gain consciousness to see Moses standing and holding a side of Allah's throne. I will not know if he has been among those people who have become unconscious, and that he has gained consciousness before me, or he has been amongst those whom Allah has exempted. Hadith 82. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Adam and Moses argued with each other. Moses said to Adam, you are Adam whose mistake expelled you from paradise. Adam said to him, you are Moses whom Allah selected as his messenger and as the one to whom he spoke directly, yet you blame me for a thing which had already been written in my fate before my creation? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said twice, so Adam overpowered Moses. Hadith 83. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, once came to us and said, all the nations were displayed in front of me, and I saw a large multitude of people covering the horizon. Somebody said, this is Moses and his followers. Hadith 84. Narrated Abu Musa, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, many amongst men reached the level of perfection, but none amongst the women reached this level except Asiya, Pharaoh's wife, and Mary, the daughter of Imran. And no doubt, the superiority of Aisha to other women is like the superiority of tharid, that is, a meat and bread dish, to other meals. Hadith 85. Narrated Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, none of you should say that I am better than Yunus, that is, Jonah. Musaddad added, Jonah bin Matta. Hadith 86. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, no slave of Allah should say that I am better than Yunus bin Matta. So the Prophet mentioned his father's name with his name. Hadith 87. Narrated Abu Hurairah, once while a Jew was selling something, he was offered a price that he was not pleased with. So, he said, no, by him who gave Moses superiority over all human beings. Hearing him, an Ansari man got up and slapped him on the face and said, you say, by him who gave Moses superiority over all human beings, although the Prophet, Muhammad, is present amongst us. The Jew went to the Prophet and said, O Abul Qasim, I am under the assurance and contract of security, so what right does so-and-so have to slap me? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked the other, why have you slapped? He told him the whole story. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, became angry, till anger appeared on his face, and said, don't give superiority to any prophet amongst Allah's prophets, for when the trumpet will be blown, everyone on the earth and in the heavens will become unconscious except those whom Allah will exempt. The trumpet will be blown for the second time and I will be the first to be resurrected to see Moses holding Allah's throne. I will not know whether the unconsciousness which Moses received on the day of Tur has been sufficient for him, or has he got up before me. And I do not say that there is anybody who is better than Yunus bin Matta. Hadith 88. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, none should say that I am better than Yunus bin Matta. Hadith 89. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the reciting of the Zabur, that is, Psalms, was made easy for David. He used to order that his riding animals be saddled, and would finish reciting the Zabur before they were saddled. And he would never eat except from the earnings of his manual work. Hadith 90. Narrated Abdullāh bin Amr, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was informed that I have said, by Allah, I will fast all the days and pray all the nights as long as I live. On that, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, asked me, are you the one who says, I will fast all the days and pray all the nights as long as I live? I said, yes, I have said it. He said, you cannot do that. So fast, sometimes, and do not fast, sometimes. Pray and sleep. Fast for 3 days a month, for the reward of a good deed is multiplied by 10 times, and so the fasting of 3 days a month equals the fasting of a year. I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I can do, fast, more than this. He said, fast on every 3rd day. I said, I can do, fast, more than that. He said, fast on alternate days, and this was the fasting of David, which is the most moderate sort of fasting. I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I can do, fast, more than that. He said, there is nothing better than that. Hadith 91. Narrated Abdullāh bin Amr bin al-As, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to me, I have been informed that you pray all the nights and observe fast all the days, is this true? I replied, yes. He said, if you do so, your eyes will become weak and you will get bored. So fast 3 days a month, for this will be the fasting of a whole year, or equal to the fasting of a whole year. I said, I find myself able to fast more. He said, then fast like the fasting of, the Prophet, David, who used to fast on alternate days and would not flee on facing the enemy. Hadith 92. Narrated Abdullāh bin Amr, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to me, the most beloved fasting to Allah was the fasting of, the Prophet, David, who used to fast on alternate days. And the most beloved prayer to Allah was the prayer of David, who used to sleep for the first half of the night and pray for a 1/3 of it and, again, sleep for a 1/6 of it. Hadith 93. Narrated Mujahid, I asked Ibn Abbas, should we perform a prostration on reciting Surah Sa'd? He recited the surah, including, and among his progeny, David, Solomon. Up to, so follow their guidance, Surah 6, Ayat 84-91. And then he said, your Prophet is amongst those people who have been ordered to follow them, that is, the preceding apostles. Hadith 94. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the prostration in Surah Sa'd is not amongst the compulsory prostrations, though I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prostrating on reciting it. Hadith 95. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, a strong demon from the jinns came to me yesterday suddenly, so as to spoil my prayer, but Allah enabled me to overpower him, and so I caught him and intended to tie him to one of the pillars of the mosque so that all of you might see him, but I remembered the invocation of my brother Solomon. And grant me a kingdom such as shall not belong to any other after me, Surah 38, Ayah 35, so I let him go cursed. Hadith 96. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Solomon, the son of David said, Tonight I will sleep with 70 ladies, each of whom will conceive a child who will be a knight fighting for Allah's cause. His companion said, If Allah wills. But Solomon did not say so, therefore none of those women got pregnant except one who gave birth to a half-child. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, further said, If the Prophet Solomon, peace and blessings be upon him, had said it, that is, if Allah wills, he would have begotten children who would have fought in Allah's cause. Shu'aib ibn Abi az-Zinad said, 90 women is more correct than 70. Hadith 97. Narrated Abu Dar, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Which mosque was built first? He replied, Al-Masjid al-Haram. I asked, which was built next? He replied, Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, that is, Jerusalem. I asked, what was the period in between them? He replied, 40 years. He then added, Wherever the time for the prayer comes upon you, perform the prayer, for all the earth is a place of worshipping for you. Hadith 98. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, My example and the example of the people is like that of a person who lit a fire and let the moths, butterflies and these insects fall in it. He also said, There were 2 women, each of whom had a child with her. A wolf came and took away the child of one of them, whereupon the other said, It has taken your child. The first said, But it has taken your child. So they both carried the case before David, who judged that the living child be given to the elder lady. So both of them went to Solomon bin David and informed him of the case. He said, Bring me a knife so as to cut the child into 2 pieces and distribute it between them. The younger lady said, May Allah be merciful to you. Don't do that, for it is her, that is, the other lady's, child. So he gave the child to the younger lady. Hadith 99. Narrated Abdullāh, when the verse, Those who believe and mix not their belief with wrong, was revealed, the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Who amongst us has not mixed his belief with wrong? Then Allah revealed, Join none in worship with Allah, verily joining others in worship with Allah is a great wrong indeed. Hadith 100. Narrated Abdullāh, when the verse, Those who believe and mix not their belief with wrong, was revealed, the Muslims felt it very hard on them and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Who amongst us does not do wrong to himself? He replied, The verse does not mean this. But that, wrong, means to associate others in worship to Allah. Don't you listen to what Luqman said to his son when he was advising him, O my son. Join not others in worship with Allah. Verily joining others in worship with Allah is a great wrong indeed. Surah 31, Ayah 13. Hadith 101. Narrated Malik bin Sa'sa, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, talked to them about the night of his ascension to the heavens. He said, Then Gabriel took me, and ascended up till he reached the 2nd heaven, where he asked for the gate to be opened, but it was asked, Who is it? Gabriel replied, I am Gabriel. It was asked, Who is accompanying you? He replied, Muhammad. It was asked, Has he been called? He said, Yes. When we reached over the 2nd heaven, I saw Yahya, that is, John, and Jesus, who were cousins. Gabriel said, These are John, Yahya, and Jesus, so greet them. I greeted them and they returned the greeting saying, Welcome, O pious brother and pious prophet. Hadith 102. Narrated Sa'id bin al-Musayyab, Abu Hurairah said, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, There is none born among the offspring of Adam, but Satan touches it. A child therefore cries loudly at the time of birth because of the touch of Satan, except Mary and her child. Then Abu Hurairah recited, and I seek refuge with you for her and for her offspring from the outcast Satan. Surah 3, Ayah 36. Hadith 103. Narrated Ali, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, Mary, the daughter of Imran, was the best among the women of the world of her time, and Khadijah is the best amongst the women of this nation. Hadith 104. Narrated Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the superiority of Aisha to other ladies is like the superiority of tharid, that is, meat and bread dish, to other meals. Many men reached the level of perfection, but no woman reached such a level except Mary the daughter of Imran, and Asiya the wife of Pharaoh. Hadith 105. Narrated Abu Hurairah, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, amongst all those women who ride camels, that is, Arabs, the ladies of Quraysh are the best. They are merciful and kind to their offspring and the best guardians of their husbands' properties. Abu Hurairah added, Mary, the daughter of Imran, never rode a camel. Hadith 106. Narrated Ubadah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if anyone testifies that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah alone who has no partners, and that Muhammad is his slave and his apostle, and that Jesus is Allah's slave and his apostle and his word which he bestowed on Mary and a spirit created by him, and that paradise is true, and hell is true, Allah will admit him into paradise with the deeds which he had done even if those deeds were few. Junada, the sub-narrator said, Ubadah added, such a person can enter paradise through any of its 8 gates he likes. Hadith 107. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, none spoke in cradle but 3, the first was, Jesus. The second was, there was a man from Bani Israel called Jurayj. While he was offering his prayers, his mother came and called him. He said, to himself, shall I answer her or keep on praying? He went on praying, and did not answer her. His mother said, O Allah! Do not let him die till he sees the faces of prostitutes. So while he was in his hermitage, a lady came and sought to seduce him, but he refused. So she went to a shepherd and presented herself to him to commit illegal sexual intercourse with her, and then later she gave birth to a child and claimed that it belonged to Jurayj. The people, therefore, came to him and dismantled his hermitage and expelled him out of it and abused him. Jurayj performed the ablution and offered prayer, and then came to the child and said, O child! Who is your father? The child replied, the shepherd. After hearing this, the people said, we shall rebuild your hermitage of gold, but he said, no, of nothing but mud. The third was the hero of the following story. A lady from Bani Israel was nursing her child at her breast when a handsome rider passed by her. She said, O Allah! Make my child like him. On that, the child left her breast, and facing the rider said, O Allah! Do not make me like him. The child then started to suck her breast again. Abu Hurairah further said, as if I were now looking at the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sucking his finger, in way of demonstration. After a while the people passed by with a lady slave, and she, that is, the child's mother, said, O Allah! Do not make my child like this, slave girl. On that, the child left her breast and said, O Allah! Make me like her. When she asked why, the child replied, the rider is one of the tyrants, while this slave girl is falsely accused of theft and illegal sexual intercourse. Hadith 108. Narrated Hisham, from Ma'mar as below. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I met Moses on the night of my ascension to heaven. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then described him saying, as I think, he was a tall person with lank hair as if he belonged to the people of the tribe of Shanuah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, further said, I met Jesus. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, described him saying, he was one of moderate height and was red-faced as if he had just come out of a bathroom. I saw Abraham whom I resembled more than any of his children did. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, further said, that night, I was given 2 cups, one full of milk and the other full of wine. I was asked to take either of them which I liked, and I took the milk and drank it. On that, it was said to me, you have taken the right path, religion. If you had taken the wine, your Muslim nation would have gone astray. Hadith 109. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I saw Moses, Jesus and Abraham, on the night of my ascension to the heavens. Jesus was of red complexion, curly hair and a broad chest. Moses was of brown complexion, straight hair and tall stature as if he was from the people of Az-Zut. Hadith 110. Narrated Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned the Masih ad-Dajjal in front of the people saying, Allah is not one-eyed, while Masih ad-Dajjal is blind in the right eye, and his eye looks like a bulging out grape. While sleeping near the Kaaba last night, I saw in my dream a man of brown color, the best one can see amongst brown color, and his hair was so long that it fell between his shoulders. His hair was lank and water was dribbling from his head, and he was placing his hands on the shoulders of 2 men while circumambulating the Kaaba. I asked, who is this? They replied, this is Jesus, son of Mary. Behind him I saw a man who had very curly hair and was blind in the right eye, resembling Ibn Qatan, that is, an infidel, in appearance. He was placing his hands on the shoulders of a person while performing tawaf around the Kaaba. I asked, who is this? They replied, the Masih ad-Dajjal. Hadith 111. Narrated Salim from his father, no, by Allah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not tell that Jesus was of red complexion but said, while I was asleep circumambulating the Kaaba, in my dream, suddenly I saw a man of brown complexion and lank hair walking between 2 men, and water was dropping from his head. I asked, who is this? The people said, he is the son of Mary. Then I looked behind and I saw a red-complexioned, fat, curly-haired man, blind in the right eye, which looked like a bulging out grape. I asked, who is this? They replied, he is ad-Dajjal. The one who resembled to him among the people was Ibn Qatan. Az-Zuhri said, he, that is, Ibn Qatan, was a man from the tribe Khuzā who died in the pre-Islamic period. Hadith 112. Narrated Abu Hurairah, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, I am the nearest of all the people to the son of Mary, and all the prophets are paternal brothers, and there has been no prophet between me and him, that is, Jesus. Hadith 113. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, both in this world and in the hereafter, I am the nearest of all the people to Jesus, the son of Mary. The prophets are paternal brothers, their mothers are different, but their religion is one. Hadith 114. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Jesus, seeing a man stealing, asked him, did you steal? He said, no, by Allah, besides whom there is none who has the right to be worshipped. Jesus said, I believe in Allah and suspect my eyes. Hadith 115. Narrated Umar, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, do not exaggerate in praising me as the Christians praised the son of Mary, for I am only a slave. So, call me the slave of Allah and his apostle. Hadith 116. Narrated Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if a person teaches his slave girl good manners properly, educates her properly, and then manumits and marries her, he will get a double reward. And if a man believes in Jesus and then believes in me, he will get a double reward. And if a slave fears his Lord, that is, Allah, and obeys his masters, he too will get a double reward. Hadith 117. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "You will be resurrected, and assembled, barefooted, naked and uncircumcised." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then recited the divine verse, "As we began the first creation, we shall repeat it, a promise we have undertaken. Truly we shall do it." Surah 21, Ayah 104. He added, "The first to be dressed will be Abraham. Then some of my companions will take to the right and to the left. I will say, my companions. It will be said, they had been renegades since you left them. I will then say what the pious slave Jesus, the son of Mary said, and I was a witness over them while I dwelt amongst them, when you did take me up, you were the watcher over them, and you are a witness to all things. If you punish them, they are your slaves, and if you forgive them, you, only you, are the Almighty, the All-Wise." Surah 5, Ayat 117 to 118. Narrated Qabisa, those were the apostates who renegade from Islam during the caliphate of Abu Bakr who fought them. Hadith 118. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "By him in whose hands my soul is, surely, Jesus, the son of Mary will soon descend amongst you and will judge mankind justly, as a just ruler. He will break the cross and kill the pigs and there will be no jizya, that is, taxation taken from non-Muslims. Money will be in abundance so that nobody will accept it, and a single prostration to Allah, in prayer, will be better than the whole world and whatever is in it." Abu Hurairah added, "If you wish, you can recite this verse of the Holy Book, and there is none of the people of the Scriptures, Jews and Christians, but must believe in him, that is, Jesus as an apostle of Allah and a human being, before his death. And on the day of judgment, he will be a witness against them." Surah 4, Ayah 159. Hadith 119. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "How will you be when the son of Mary, that is, Jesus, descends amongst you and your Imam is among you?" Hadith 120. Narrated Rabi'a bin Hirash, Uqbah bin Amr said to Hudayfa, "Won't you relate to us of what you have heard from Allah's Apostle?" He said, "I heard him saying, when Al-Dajjal appears, he will have fire and water along with him. What the people will consider as cold water, will be fire that will burn things. So, if any one of you comes across this, he should fall in the thing which will appear to him as fire, for in reality, it will be fresh cold water." Hudayfa added, "I also heard him saying, from among the people preceding your generation, there was a man whom the angel of death visited to capture his soul. So his soul was captured, and he was asked if he had done any good deed. He replied, 'I don't remember any good deed.' He was asked to think it over. He said, 'I do not remember, except that I used to trade with the people in the world and I used to give a respite to the rich and forgive the poor, among my debtors. So Allah made him enter paradise.'" Hudayfa further said, "I also heard him saying, once there was a man on his deathbed, who, losing every hope of surviving said to his family, 'When I die, gather for me a large heap of wood and make a fire, to burn me. When the fire eats my meat and reaches my bones, and when the bones burn, take and crush them into powder and wait for a windy day to throw it, that is, the powder, over the sea.' They did so, but Allah collected his particles and asked him, 'Why did you do so?' He replied, 'For fear of you.' So Allah forgave him." Uqbah bin Amr said, "I heard him saying that the Israeli used to dig the grave of the dead, to steal their shrouds." Hadith 121. Narrated Aisha and Ibn Abbas, on his deathbed, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, put a sheet over his face and when he felt hot, he would remove it from his face. When in that state, of putting and removing the sheet, he said, May Allah's curse be on the Jews and the Christians, for they build places of worship at the graves of their prophets. By that, he intended to warn the Muslims from what they, that is, Jews and Christians, had done. Hadith 122. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the Israelis used to be ruled and guided by prophets. Whenever a prophet died, another would take over his place. There will be no prophet after me, but there will be caliphs who will increase in number. The people asked, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, what do you order us to do? He said, obey the one who will be given the pledge of allegiance first. Fulfill their, that is, the caliphs, rights, for Allah will ask them about any shortcoming in ruling those Allah has put under their guardianship. Hadith 123. Narrated Abu Sa'id, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, you will follow the wrong ways of your predecessors so completely and literally that if they should go into the hole of a mastigir, you too will go there. We said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, do you mean the Jews and the Christians? He replied, whom else? Meaning, of course, the Jews and the Christians. Hadith 124. Narrated Anas, the people mentioned the fire and the bell, as means proposed for announcing the time of prayer, and by such a suggestion they referred to the Jews and the Christians. But Bilal was ordered, pronounce the words of the adhan, that is, call for the prayer, twice and the iqamah once only. Hadith 125. Narrated Aisha, that she used to hate that one should keep his hands on his flanks while praying. She said that the Jews used to do so. Hadith 126. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, your period, that is, the Muslims' period, in comparison to the periods of the previous nations, is like the period between the Asr prayer and sunset. And your example in comparison to the Jews and the Christians is like the example of a person who employed some laborers and asked them, who will work for me till midday for 1 qirat each? The Jews worked for half a day for 1 qirat each. The person asked, who will do the work for me from midday to the time of the Asr prayer, for 1 qirat each? The Christians worked from midday till the Asr prayer for 1 qirat. Then the person asked, who will do the work for me from the Asr till sunset for 2 qirats each? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, it is you, that is, Muslims, who are doing the work from the Asr till sunset, so you will have a double reward. The Jews and the Christians got angry and said, we have done more work but got less wages. Allah said, have I been unjust to you as regards your rights? They said, no. So Allah said, then it is my blessing which I bestow on whomever I like. Hadith 127. Narrated Ibn Abbas, I heard Umar saying, may Allah curse so and so. Doesn't he know that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, may Allah curse the Jews for, though they were forbidden to eat fat, they liquefied it and sold it. Hadith 128. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, convey my teachings to the people even if it were a single sentence, and tell others the stories of Bani Israel, which have been taught to you, for it is not sinful to do so. And whoever tells a lie on me intentionally, will surely take his place in the hell fire. Hadith 129. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the Jews and the Christians do not dye their gray hair, so you shall do the opposite of what they do, that is, dye your gray hair and beards. Hadith 130. Narrated Jundub, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, amongst the nations before you there was a man who got a wound, and growing impatient, with its pain, he took a knife and cut his hand with it and the blood did not stop till he died. Allah said, my slave hurried to bring death upon himself so I have forbidden him to enter paradise. Hadith 131. Narrated Abu Hurairah, that he heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, Allah willed to test 3 Israelis who were a leper, a blind man and a bald-headed man. So, he sent them an angel who came to the leper and said, What thing do you like most? He replied, Good color and good skin, for the people have a strong aversion to me. The angel touched him and his illness was cured, and he was given a good color and beautiful skin. The angel asked him, What kind of property do you like best? He replied, Camels, or cows. The narrator is in doubt, for either the leper or the bald-headed man demanded camels and the other demanded cows. So he, that is, the leper, was given a pregnant she-camel, and the angel said, to him, May Allah bless you in it. The angel then went to the bald-headed man and said, What thing do you like most? He said, I like good hair and wish to be cured of this disease, for the people feel repulsion for me. The angel touched him and his illness was cured, and he was given good hair. The angel asked him, What kind of property do you like best? He replied, Cows. The angel gave him a pregnant cow and said, May Allah bless you in it. The angel went to the blind man and asked, What thing do you like best? He said, I like, that Allah may restore my eyesight to me so that I may see the people. The angel touched his eyes and Allah gave him back his eyesight. The angel asked him, What kind of property do you like best? He replied, Sheep. The angel gave him a pregnant sheep. Afterwards, all the 3 pregnant animals gave birth to young ones, and multiplied and brought forth so much that one of the 3 men had a herd of camels filling a valley, and one had a herd of cows filling a valley, and one had a flock of sheep filling a valley. Then the angel, disguised in the shape and appearance of a leper, went to the leper and said, I am a poor man, who has lost all means of livelihood while on a journey. So none will satisfy my need except Allah and then you. In the name of Him who has given you such nice color and beautiful skin, and so much property, I ask you to give me a camel so that I may reach my destination. The man replied, I have many obligations, so I cannot give you. The angel said, I think I know you, were you not a leper to whom the people had a strong aversion? Weren't you a poor man, and then Allah gave you all this property? He replied, This is all wrong, I got this property through inheritance from my forefathers. The angel said, If you are telling a lie, then let Allah make you as you were before. Then the angel, disguised in the shape and appearance of a bald man, went to the bald man and said to him the same as he told the first one, and he too answered the same as the first one did. The angel said, If you are telling a lie, then let Allah make you as you were before. The angel, disguised in the shape of a blind man, went to the blind man and said, I am a poor man and a traveler, whose means of livelihood have been exhausted while on a journey. I have nobody to help me except Allah, and after Him, you yourself. I ask you in the name of Him who has given you back your eyesight to give me a sheep, so that with its help, I may complete my journey. The man said, No doubt, I was blind and Allah gave me back my eyesight, I was poor and Allah made me rich, so take anything you wish from my property. By Allah, I will not stop you for taking anything you need of my property which you may take for Allah's sake. The angel replied, Keep your property with you. You, that is, the 3 men, have been tested, and Allah is pleased with you and is angry with your 2 companions. Hadith 132. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Once 3 persons, from the previous nations, were traveling, and suddenly it started raining and they took shelter in a cave. The entrance of the cave got closed while they were inside. They said to each other, O you! Nothing can save you except the truth, so each of you should ask Allah's help by referring to such a deed as he thinks he did sincerely, that is, just for gaining Allah's pleasure. So one of them said, O Allah! You know that I had a laborer who worked for me for 1 farak, that is, 3 sahs, of rice, but he departed, leaving it, that is, his wages. I sowed that farak of rice, and with its yield, I bought cows for him. Later on, when he came to me asking for his wages, I said to him, Go to those cows and drive them away. He said to me, But you have to pay me only a farak of rice. I said to him, Go to those cows and take them, for they are the product of that farak of rice. So he drove them. O Allah! If you consider that I did that for fear of you, then please remove the rock. The rock shifted a bit from the mouth of the cave. The second one said, O Allah, you know that I had old parents whom I used to provide with the milk of my sheep every night. One night, I was delayed, and when I came, they had slept, while my wife and children were crying with hunger. I used not to let them, that is, my family, drink unless my parents had drunk first. So I disliked to wake them up, and also disliked that they should sleep without drinking it. I kept on waiting for them to wake, till it dawned. O Allah! If you consider that I did that for fear of you, then please remove the rock. So the rock shifted, and they could see the sky through it. The third one said, O Allah! You know that I had a cousin, that is, my paternal uncle's daughter, who was most beloved to me, and I sought to seduce her, but she refused, unless I paid her 100 dinars, that is, gold pieces. So I collected the amount and brought it to her, and she allowed me to sleep with her. But when I sat between her legs, she said, Be afraid of Allah, and do not deflower me but legally. I got up and left the 100 dinars for her. O Allah! If you consider that I did that for fear of you, then please remove the rock. So Allah saved them, and they came out of the cave. Hadith 133. Narrated Abu Hurairah, that he heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, while a lady was nursing her child, a rider passed by, and she said, O Allah! Don't let my child die till he becomes like this rider. The child said, O Allah! Don't make me like him, and then returned to her breast, sucking it. After a while, they passed by a lady who was being pulled and teased by the people. The child's mother said, O Allah! Do not make my child like her. The child said, O Allah! Make me like her. Then he said, As for the rider, he is an infidel, while the lady is accused of illegal sexual intercourse, falsely, and she says, Allah is sufficient for me, He knows the truth. Hadith 134. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, while a dog was going round a well and was about to die of thirst, an Israeli prostitute saw it and took off her shoe and watered it. So Allah forgave her because of that good deed. Hadith 135. Narrated Humayd bin Abdur Rahman, that he heard Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan talking on the pulpit in the year when he performed the Hajj. He took a tuft of hair that was in the hand of an orderly and said, O people of Medina! Where are your learned men? I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbidding such a thing as this, that is, false hair, and he used to say, the Israelis were destroyed when their ladies practiced this habit, of using false hair to lengthen their locks. Hadith 136. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, amongst the people preceding you there used to be muhaddathun, that is, persons who can guess things that come true later on, as if those persons have been inspired by a divine power, and if there are any such persons amongst my followers, it is Umar bin al-Khattab. Hadith 137. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, amongst the men of Bani Israel there was a man who had murdered 99 persons. Then he set out asking, whether his repentance could be accepted or not. He came upon a monk and asked him if his repentance could be accepted. The monk replied in the negative, and so the man killed him. He kept on asking till a man advised to go to such and such village. So he left for it, but death overtook him on the way. While dying, he turned his chest towards that village, where he had hoped his repentance would be accepted, and so the angels of mercy and the angels of punishment quarreled amongst themselves regarding him. Allah ordered the village, towards which he was going, to come closer to him, and ordered the village, whence he had come, to go far away, and then he ordered the angels to measure the distances between his body and the two villages. So he was found to be one span closer to the village he was going to. So he was forgiven. Hadith 138. Narrated Abu Hurairah, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the morning prayer and then faced the people and said, while a man was driving a cow, he suddenly rode over it and beat it. The cow said, "We have not been created for this, but we have been created for plowing." On that, the people said astonishingly, "Glorified be Allah. A cow speaks." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I believe this," and Abu Bakr and Umar too believe it, although neither of them was present there. While a person was amongst his sheep, a wolf attacked and took one of the sheep. The man chased the wolf till he saved it from the wolf, whereupon the wolf said, "You have saved it from me, but who will guard it on the day of the wild beasts when there will be no shepherd to guard them except me, because of riots and afflictions?" The people said surprisingly, "Glorified be Allah. A wolf speaks." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "But I believe this," and Abu Bakr and Umar too believe this, although neither of them was present there. Hadith 139. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, a man bought a piece of land from another man, and the buyer found an earthenware jar filled with gold in the land. The buyer said to the seller, "Take your gold, as I have bought only the land from you, but I have not bought the gold from you." The former owner of the land said, "I have sold you the land with everything in it." So both of them took their case before a man who asked, "Do you have children?" One of them said, "I have a boy." The other said, "I have a girl." The man said, "Marry the girl to the boy and spend the money on both of them and give the rest of it in charity." Hadith 140. Narrated Usama bin Zayd, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Plague was a means of torture sent on a group of Israelis, or on some people before you. So if you hear of it spread in a land, don't approach it, and if a plague should appear in a land where you are present, then don't leave that land in order to run away from it, that is, plague." Hadith 141. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, I asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, about the plague. He told me that it was a punishment sent by Allah on whom He wished, and Allah made it a source of mercy for the believers, for if one in the time of an epidemic plague stays in his country patiently hoping for Allah's reward and believing that nothing will befall him except what Allah has written for him, he will get the reward of a martyr. Hadith 142. Narrated Aisha, the people of Quraysh worried about the lady from Bani Makhzum who had committed theft. They asked, "Who will intercede for her with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him?" Some said, "No one dare to do so except Usama bin Zayd, the beloved one to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him." When Usama spoke about that to Allah's Apostle, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, "Do you try to intercede for somebody in a case connected with Allah's prescribed punishments?" Then he got up and delivered a sermon saying, "What destroyed the nations preceding you was that if a noble amongst them stole, they would forgive him, and if a poor person amongst them stole, they would inflict Allah's legal punishment on him. By Allah, if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad stole, I would cut off her hand." Hadith 143. Narrated Ibn Mas'ud, I heard a person reciting a Quranic verse in a certain way, and I had heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reciting the same verse in a different way. So I took him to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and informed him of that, but I noticed the sign of disapproval on his face, and then he said, "Both of you are correct, so don't differ, for the nations before you differed, so they were destroyed." Hadith 144. Narrated Abdullāh, as if I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, talking about one of the prophets whose nation had beaten him and caused him to bleed, while he was cleaning the blood off his face and saying, O Allah, forgive my nation, for they have no knowledge. Hadith 145. Narrated Abu Sa'id, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, amongst the people preceding your age, there was a man whom Allah had given a lot of money. While he was in his deathbed, he called his sons and said, What type of father have I been to you? They replied, You have been a good father. He said, I have never done a single good deed, so when I die, burn me, crush my body, and scatter the resulting ashes on a windy day. His sons did accordingly, but Allah gathered his particles and asked him, What made you do so? He replied, Fear of you. So Allah bestowed His mercy upon him, forgave him. Hadith 146. Narrated Rabi'a bin Hirash, Uqba said to Hudayfa, Won't you narrate to us what you heard from Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him? Hudayfa said, I heard him saying, Death approached a man, and when he had no hope of surviving, he said to his family, When I die, gather for me much wood and build a fire, to burn me. When the fire has eaten my flesh and reached my bones, take the bones and grind them and scatter the resulting powder in the sea on a hot, or windy, day. That was done. But Allah collected his particles and asked him, Why did you do so? He replied, For fear of you. So Allah forgave him. Narrated Abdul Malik, as above, saying, On a windy day. Hadith 147. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, A man used to give loans to the people and used to say to his servant, If the debtor is poor, forgive him, so that Allah may forgive us. So when he met Allah, after his death, Allah forgave him. Hadith 148. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, A man used to do sinful deeds, and when death came to him, he said to his sons, After my death, burn me and then crush me, and scatter the powder in the air, for by Allah, if Allah has control over me, He will give me such a punishment as He has never given to anyone else. When he died, his sons did accordingly. Allah ordered the earth saying, Collect what you hold of his particles. It did so, and behold, there he was, the man, standing. Allah asked him, What made you do what you did? He replied, O my Lord, I was afraid of you. So Allah forgave him. Another narrator said, The man said, Fear of you, O Lord. Hadith 149. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, A lady was punished because of a cat which she had imprisoned till it died. She entered the hell fire because of it, for she neither gave it food nor water as she had imprisoned it, nor set it free to eat from the vermin of the earth. Hadith 150. Narrated Abu Mas'ud, Uqba said, The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, One of the sayings of the prophets which the people have got is, If you do not feel ashamed, then do whatever you like. Hadith 151. Narrated Abu Mas'ud, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, One of the sayings of the prophets which the people have got is, If you do not feel ashamed, then do whatever you like. Hadith 152. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, While a man was walking, dragging his dress with pride, he was caused to be swallowed by the earth and will go on sinking in it till the day of resurrection. Hadith 153. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, We are the last to come, but we will be the foremost on the day of resurrection. Nations were given the book, that is, Scripture, before us, and we were given the Holy Book after them. This, that is, Friday, is the day about which they differed. So the next day, that is, Saturday, was prescribed for the Jews and the day after it, that is, Sunday, for the Christians. It is incumbent on every Muslim to wash his head and body on a day, that is, Friday, at least, in every 7 days. Hadith 154. Narrated Sa'id bin al-Musayyab, when Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan came to Medina for the last time, he delivered a sermon before us. He took out a tuft of hair and said, I never thought that someone other than the Jews would do such a thing, that is, use false hair. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, named such a practice as zur, that is, falsehood, meaning the use of false hair.